When the ground is smooth and the ground cover vegetation is light and low, the effort required to measure the distance between 2 points or to set a point ahead of some required distance is very minimal. If the ground is not too rough and hilly and in general considered as gently rolling, the taping procedure would be slightly more difficult than the required for taping on the flat ground.
So, the instrument and accessories needed to accomplish this fieldwork report are range poles. A straight pole or rod, sometimes jointed, usually painted in 1-foot bands of alternative colors of red and white, and used for sighting points and lines in surveying. 30 meters or 100 feet steel tape is a portable measurement device used to quantify the size of an object or the distance between objects, and markers, either mark pins or chalk.
For the first procedure, select an accessible and unobstructed course to be measured by the surveyor on a level ground. Using marking pins, mark both ends of the line to be measured. Place a range pole behind each point and also establish intermediate points along the line to ensure unobstructed sight line. If the point to be marked is on a pavement, use marking pins. Designated these endpoints as A and B. The rear tape man with one pin stations himself at the point of beginning, and the head tape man takes the zero end of the tape and advances vertically and steadily towards the other end of the line to be measured. The tape is stretched out on the ground on the straight path along A to B, where the zero end is held ahead. When the head tape man has gone nearly a full tape length, the rear tape man calls tape to stop the front tape man. The rear tape man then holds the 30 mark at the starting point and aligns the other end of the tape held by the front tape man on the range pole set behind the end point or on any of the intermediate points earlier established along the line. Note: the rear tape man is responsible for giving the signal to the front tape man if his path is straight, while the front tape man is responsible to pull the tape once the tape is aligned already. With the 30-meter mark at the starting point and the front tape man aligned, the rear tape man calls all right. The head tape man then pulls the tape and sticks a marking pin in the ground to mark the 0-meter end of the tape. If the measurement is done on pavement, a marking pin is used to mark the end of the tape.
Procedure 6. The rear tape man picks up his one marking pin and the front tape man has 10 marking pins and pull the tape forward, and process is repeated for the next full tape length. Procedure 7. Both the front and the rear tape man lift simultaneously the tape and move forward along the line AB to measure the next tape length. By now, the rear tape man holds one marking pin, which signifies one tape length. Procedure 8. The procedure 4 to 6 is repeated to complete the next tape length measurement. Make sure that the rear tape man holds the pin before lifting the tape to move on to the next tape length. The rear tape man holds two marking pins to connote two tape lengths have been measured. Procedure 9. Repeat the same process until all the pins being held by the front tape man. One tally is equivalent to 10 tape lengths. After a tally has been accomplished, the rear tape man returns all the 10 pins to the front tape man to proceed in measuring the length of the course. Note: one round is when all the 10 pins are now being held by the rear tape man. Procedure 10. Repeat the same procedure if more than one tally is needed. Upon reaching point B, the partial length must be measured accurately up to centimeters by the rear tape man, while the front tape man is holding the zero mark at B and both of them are holding the tape. Procedure 11, the number of pebbles in the rear tape man's pocket now indicate the number of tallies made, and the number of pins in his possession indicates the number of additional tape lengths.
Computations. To compute for the total distance, get the total number of full tape lengths and then add the partial tape length to the product of the length of one full tape length and total number of full tape lengths. To compute for the mean distance, determine the sum of total distance, then divide the sum by the number of trials. To compute for the relative precision, determine the probable error of the mean, then divide by mean distance, and reduce the numerator to unity to determine the relative precision.
And for the marks, hints, and precautions. Number 1. Prior to measurement, the tape should first be calibrated. Number 2. During measurement, the tape should be supported throughout the entire length and the required pull, approximately 10 pounds, applied at the end of the tape to avoid consistent errors. Number 3. During the lining in process, the tape man is in nailing position to one side and facing the line so that he can hold the tape steady and allow the rear tape man to have a clear view of the range pole marking the distant point. Number 4. As the rear tape man leaves after each full tape length is measured, a pin is pulled out of the ground. There is always one pin in the ground, and the number of pins held by a rear tape man at any time indicates the number of full tape lengths measured from the point of beginning to the pin in the ground. Number 5. The tape may be held between the fleshy portion of the fingers and that of the palm. Enough friction is applied to sustain the required pull without causing injury or discomfort to the tape man. Number 6. The acceptable precision should be at least 1/1000. If this is not attained, the measurement should be repeated.
Taping over uneven ground. Step 1. The same course is measured, but this time the tape will be unsupported by the ground and must be held an eye level distance above the ground. Step 2. Both the rear and the front tape man hold the plumb line over the center of the hub.
Number 3. The front tape man must hold his plumb line an arm length away from his body for the rear tape man to clearly see if it is aligned in the range pole at B. Number 4. Once the rear tape man approves the alignment, the front tape man holding the zero mark pulls the tape taut and drops plumb bob on the ground. This will mark the ground with a dent to guide the front tape man where he must place his marking pin.
Number 5. This is to be done continuously until point B is reached. Note that the partial length must also measured as in procedure A. Number 6. The course is measured back and forth to complete the numbers of trials required by the professor. Number 7. Tabulate the data in table 2.2, taping over uneven ground.
Procedure number 8. To compute for the total distance, get the total number of full tape lengths and then add the partial tape length to the product of the length of one full tape length and total number of full tape lengths. Procedure number 9. To compute for the mean distance, determine the sum of total distance, then divide the sum by the number of trials. Procedure number 10. To get the relative precision, determine the probable error of the mean, then divide by mean distance and reduce the numerator to unity to determine the relative precision.
That's all, thank you. Presented by the GUZMAN Rose, Luna, FRANZ, BRYAN, ng EINRAND, JESTINE. YABILLO James Dominic, and YBAñez Charles Miguel.